All right, welcome to the T Row Show. It's your host Keith. We've got this is the T Row Show second half number 15. Okay, and what we're going to talk about tonight is a little bit of some background. We've got I was listening to the judiciary. I don't know if people know the difference between a judicial branch, a legislative branch, and executive branch, or three different governments. I don't know if schools have actually taught that. However, remember when I said when you have the right to defend yourself, okay? This fight between Texas and the U.S. as far as who has the chance to, who gets has the right to do what, blah 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 blah. They said that the Texas there was a judge that stopped it, tried to stop it, or is trying to stop it, and he says um, there's a term that I'm very upset about, and it's the same term I talked about. It was the 26 people, 26 governors that were proclaiming that this was an invasion. And now he's saying, I don't agree with that. So once again, the judiciary is getting into something that they have no business getting into. Folks, when you're seeing the judiciary make these decisions, most of these decisions actually fall on political. Okay. Boundaries, say boundaries on a map. Let's go to a map. I'll give you an example. You can have a country and the boundaries are political boundaries. They're not actual government boundaries. They have nothing to do with legislative or judicial. It's political. That's boundaries are in political powers. That means the people have political power. So your county where the boundaries are now, that's political boundaries. That a lot of people don't know that. So when it comes to the border, Supreme Court has no business in it, and neither does any court. But they're going to sue them, but it's outside of their jurisdiction. The court in this particular type of system is supposed to be judicial, not political. So any judge worth his weight would say, this is a political matter, guys. I can't decide anything here. It's outside of my jurisdiction. But guess what? Since the country is run by lawyers and by an international bar association and by the Rothschilds in the city of London, and then that is run by who? Oh, the Pope over there in the Vatican. Okay. He's the one that's doing all this, and he's using the courts to do it. So every time his little slaves go into the courts every time, and they will cause a controversy, and they will go in there and try to decide things on a boundary. Those aren't decided on boundaries; they're decided on wars, political matters. Political matters are wars. That's WARS, wars. Okay. So that's how this stuff is done. If it's done peacefully, this is our political body politic within the metes and bounds of this, and then within the metes and bounds of that. So you have to realize that people, I know people don't know this, so it allows them to get away with what he's getting away with. He's Francis. Francis started this crap years ago. He has no right to do it because he has no claim to these United States. Zero claim. We told him that. He knows it. But he trespasses anyways because he's a tyrant. He's a devil worshiper. He doesn't, he's the one that's pushing the whole LGBT stuff. That's like his policy. And he's trying to take over the world. He wants his world government and he wants to be the world church. So he has all that power. So you have a church trying to be a political organization. It's the most messed up thing I've ever seen. You basically tell preachers when they get into political matters, you can shut the hell up because they have no business in it. And neither does Francis. Francis has zero business. So a judge cannot do a stay on a legislative political um, statute. It is outside of those jurisdictions, but they've been doing it for a long time, so people just don't realize. When you grow up with something, you think it's normal. That's what MK Ultra is based on. So if you're molesting children and you are doing it since they're babies, then they think that that's completely normal. They won't know the difference. They've been able to keep them under wraps until about 30. Then when they're 30 years old, something happens to the brain, it changes. And they begin to wake up and they're like, this ain't right. This is not what's supposed to be. They start realizing what's right and wrong. So it's the when you're growing up with a judge constantly running things, he has no business running things that are not judicial in nature. But guess what? These people are not a judicial people. They are a judiciary. Big, huge difference. Okay? They are not judicial in nature. People don't understand that, or they don't realize it. That judge is not a judicial judge. That's why they tell you, like they brought them back out in the 30s and 40s, they're administrative judges. Administrative, they're just paper pushers. That's all they are. They haven't decided a law since 1947 when the lawyers came in and took over the states and took over the judicial branch. You lost your judicial power. I give you, for instance, a country that has a judicial power, the judge is usually the baker or the barber. There was one town I knew of is over in France. It was a friend of mine that knew about it, and he said that yeah, the barber was our judge. He would decide cases, and so that was an actual judicial judge. And he didn't wear any robes. He didn't do that. When he had a controversy he had to deal with, he would close the shop for that day, whether it was half a day or a day, and you would pay him what he lost that day, as far as business is concerned. That's it. That's all you had to do. What he decided went, as far as a judicial matter. A judiciary is not that at all. That's a bunch of lawyers that run the country, and they come from the Rothschilds, and they become Masons and all that to join the groups here. They become Masons and they start doing things politically, and they use a judiciary to decide those political matters. But the rest of the country, the rest of the town doesn't understand that. They don't realize that that was never judicially heard. It was only judiciary. So they brought their judicial and their political together in order to make money. It's a money making venture, and people grew up with it. And they have cops that throw you in jail and punch you and kick you and do all these things to get you to comply with whatever stupid decision this judiciary judge said. And that's why you can sue them in their personal capacity, because they're not a judge. That's one thing that a lot of people don't realize. But you have to understand that that's what they're doing. So their political realm, here's somebody like me on the T Row show. And they know a lot of people follow it and listen to it. And so they watch what I do. And I put that out there that 26 governors called this an invasion. So it's an invasion. So you have the right to defend yourself against these people. You do anyways, but I put it out there that way. And guess what? Not a week later or a week and a half later, oh, I don't like that term. You know, I prefer immigrant, not invasion. And approve the invasion. Yeah, okay. I see what they did. It's not a problem. They want this to work out because they got their orders from Francis. So I say, drop all those migrants in the Vatican walls. Give them to the Vatican to process over in Europe. Hand them over to them. Say, here, you're the one that wanted this. You're the one that said, oh, Europe's doors are open to immigration. I don't know how the hell he got that kind of a power or authority to be able to, as a church, to be able to control the political boundaries of the countries. But he does recklessly, what do you call it, threaten people with hell, or threaten people that they're not going to get salvation and all this stuff, when the man is not recognized as any form of authority whatsoever. How many people, folks, just think about this. You have tons and tons of videos that people have gone to heaven. Okay. Now, okay, say half of them are fake, but the other half are real. Now, how many of those people have said, oh, yeah, when I went there, I met the Pope? Not one. So it's 99% sure that the Pope isn't who he says he is in heaven. He doesn't speak for Yeshua. He doesn't speak for our Father in heaven. He is not a father in any way, shape, or form on earth. So I remember Francis saying, and it really made people funky or feel funky when he said, well, see, you have a father in heaven and then you have a father on earth. It's like, man, you were just sick, dude. You got a problem. And it's a mental issue. I think the man's mentally sick. I don't think he has any, he doesn't make any sense. That's just my opinion. I don't think you can have a regular conversation with the guy without giving him money. He gets really happy when you start telling him you're going to give him money. He's just like, he does his hands together and all that. Ooh, we're going to get some money here. Okay. So you have to realize that that's how twisted things are in this world. That you have such a sick man that people will listen to and say, oh, you have an order from the Pope, and then they blatantly call each other father and all this crap. And it was told specifically, do not call man father. Don't call any man father. So, I don't think I think what has happened here is he says he's called a vicar of the anointed one. And I think that's a self-proclaimed thing. People talk to Yeshua himself. They go and they did not need any kind of Vatican. They did not need Francis or any of his predecessors to talk to. John Paul, there was one man that said he went to hell and saw him there on fire in hell. So if you're Catholic, I would highly suggest you go to Yeshua personally, yourself. Bypass everybody else. It would be your best bet. Start going down the narrow way and finding him. All right. So dealing with this, you need to create a body politic. I'm going to help a little bit. Okay. The American nationals, not the ones that are under Anna and her camp. Okay. Those are not American nationals. They have not done the correct process. They no idea what they're doing. It's folks in immigration, or if you're trying to claim a nationality, nobody asks for a baby deed. I'm trying to tell you, no one, not one country in the whole world asks for a baby deed. It's the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard. And if something doesn't feel right, listen to yourself, because you're not an American national. That flag, the little 50-star flag, and it's got red and white stripes up and down, that was literally mine. I used to use it back in, there was a peace flag. I was the one that put the 50 stars on it. Okay. The CIA stole it. They stole that flag. And then they started using it and putting out false information on people because they didn't want them to get a nationality, because you're supposed to become a world citizen under their fancy over there. Okay. CIA is nothing but a organization that spies on everybody else except for the Vatican and the three city-state empire. Now, since it's political, when you have a president that comes in under executive branch and starts removing and opening a border, that is an open war by the U.S. military. Now, why do I say that? It's because he's supposed to be the commander in chief, the head of the military. The we call it the Pentagon is not in charge of the military. It would be a half-wit that you have in a White House that's in charge of the military, apparently. Even though I disagree with him having that office or having any rights to it, but my opinion doesn't matter because I'm not within that body politic. I can just criticize. That's about it. I think the whole thing is a complete joke. However, when you have somebody that's our borders are still up. It's their political borders that they're opened up, not ours. Okay, we still have the original borders, which is the United States of America. Believe it or not, even being in the reign of the heavens, we still have those. We still kept them because we didn't want anybody destroying them. So those borders are still up. No matter what they try to do with executive orders, whatever the New World Order tries to do, doesn't matter. They're not going anywhere. They just took theirs down. And that's why immigration policy and corporations and everything else, that's why it's there. And this has nothing to do with an actual government as to what's going on. But the way people see things, the way they understand them, they believe that Texas is their border, okay? And they believe that Biden wrote or reversed all these executive orders to open up the border wide open. So I say, okay, no problem. That's where you guys want to play this and want to go in La La Land. We can do that. So in La La Land, the so-called commander in chief of the U.S. military attacked one of the states without provocation when their agreement was to protect those states from invasion. So what he did was he opened up the borders and said, here, we want all military age men to come on over. And so look what you got. You have an invasion. Since that's not working for the judiciary politically, they have come out and said that, oh, we don't like this word invasion, which takes away, if they took away invasion, it would take away all of the incentive to stop this. It would also take down what Texas is doing, or stop what Texas is doing, so they can keep going in the way they're going. Now, the children that are coming across that have addresses, those children 100% are going towards brothels, stuff like that. Those addresses are where those children are supposed to go to, and they will be molested, sexually molested, sold, all that stuff. So whenever you see that, there's like over 400 of them, I think, in the last week have come over unattended with an address. So that's telling the Border Patrol, U.S. Border, I told you they were doing this back when it was happening. Back in 2016, we told them what was happening. That the U.S. Border Patrol was actually trafficking the children. So they literally don't really check this out. What do you call it? The National Guard has been checking it out and realizing they've been investigating these addresses, and they're going to sex trade houses, trafficking houses, literally. And that's why they wanted the U.S. Border Patrol there so bad, meaning the same characters like um, uh, Biden and the whole crew, Nancy, all those people, the Clintons. They're still running the sex ring. So that, but when they didn't want any of that information coming out, that's what they're trying to hide. That's why they had the U.S. Border Patrol there. And then they had the daily briefing, the press briefing, and she started coming out and saying, "Well, what we need to do is that they need to let the U.S. Border Patrol do their job and do what they're supposed to do, which is what, protect the border, right? Well, since they're not doing that, the National Guard jumps in front of them and says, "Okay, you can't do this. You step back. You sit back there." That's what's been happening. And when they did, they found these little kids, and these little kids have been having these addresses. Here, send me here. Finding out there's your trafficking. That the U.S. border is doing their job, which is coming directly from Biden. Yeah, deliver those children over to so and so's house so that we can get our money and paid for selling the kid and trafficking them up to you. That's what's happening. It's sick, but that's what they're doing. So they tell you in all uncertain terms. They tell you everything, but you have to just sit there and put it together. You have to listen to one side, talk to the other side, and this side and that side, and these things just keep coming out over and over, and you begin to realize what's happening. Most of them, like the women, they just want housekeepers. The rich like housekeepers, and so they put them in their house and they keep them there. And if they fall out of turn or whatever, they'll call ICE and come get them to send them back, so they're easily controlled. They pay them and keep them in the house, and as long as they're good, they'll be able to stay there in a nice home and everything else, and get the little pay that they get. Now that I've told you all these wonderful things, what we need to do is there's only a remedy. There is a remedy for this. And since people, I don't know why they've had this thing in their head that they don't understand what the remedy is when I say it, we're going to train. We've got some training, we'll do a little assistance and help. Like I said, I stopped doing it after about 10 years of getting attacked and everything else, trying to help the people, the very people that were attacking me. Like I said, we started trying to help people that were in January 6th. And guess what? They started attacking us. So we said, "Okay, you guys have a good day. Have fun." And they end up in jail and everything else. We could have got them on human rights violations, but the January 6th folks didn't come to us, for help. They attacked us when we did try to help. So we said, "Good luck. Have fun." Because after that, you really don't care when you try to help somebody and they do that to you. You move on. So here's some help for you. Okay. Don't come back to me and start blaming me. I don't want to hear it. You can do it this way or not do it this way. This is your choice. I am not doing this to help the LGBT folks. I'm not doing this to help people that are trying to devil worship. I'm simply saying you have a right to defend yourself. Okay? Everybody has a right to defend themselves until they die. Once they die, it's over. Now, you don't have a right to defend yourself and commit crimes, but you do have a right to defend yourself. So this is how you do it. The American National Assembly, which is up and running now, okay, you can get on Telegram. I don't know, we may put, I'll try to put a invite link on there. You can join that assembly. Now, all that means is that you get it together with a bunch of people. Okay? Everybody gets together and you assemble. It's the same thing. You go to a concert, that's an assembly. You go to church, that's an assembly. People all get together for a specific purpose. As long as it's for peaceful purposes, nobody has any issues. You have the right to peaceably assemble. You do not have the right to take over because everything's done by choice. You do not have the right to run the world. That's what happens to a lot of people. They come together, they start pushing everybody. Hey, rerun everything. You sit back and you do what we tell you. That's just another problem that we're having now. So what's the point of having you if that's what you want to do? That's very well understood in the assembly world. Okay, now a national assembly can have jurisdiction over all the counties. And the didn't say they could run the counties. That's it. They have jurisdiction over the counties, which means they have the ability to speak on behalf of the people if the people will vote. So, for instance, this works very well on a Facebook page. Okay, you can start a Facebook group. The one thing I do know about them, once you get the assembly together, and we have plenty of people to put that American National Assembly together. There's a charter there, and those people have a way that they do things. And you actually learn how to run government there. So what you would do if you wanted to reach out, expand, and try to help people, because I believe I just did or put a video up where it shows that Trump is a Mason. So he's only there to help the Masons. He's not there to help everybody. Okay, he's there to help the Masons. He just, in order to get the support, he has to make you believe that. All I know when Trump was in is that he fast tracked a vaccine that killed over 1 billion people, murdered them. It also got rid of a bunch of I don't know what he had against athletes, but he killed a lot of them, especially soccer players. They all died. All of his friends in Hollywood, they all took the shot. And there's another lady that's already connected it to the number 666. So, hey, if you want to put your faith in a man that does that, go right ahead. Doesn't bother me. You're just putting your faith in something that's once again something wicked. It's as wicked as what's in your own heart. So I know most people just want to be able to make a living, and I get that. But you can't make a living dead. And he still boasts about it and all that kind of thing. You know what? I was the fastest. Yeah, well, you got the vaccine out there real quick, buddy. That was a good move there. All right. So you get your National Assembly going, and then they will have a liaison that can speak on your behalf in that county if you don't know what to do and how to run this thing. Okay. So I mentioned to him, I said, look, why don't you go on Facebook and start a Facebook group? Put polls up. POLLS. Put questions and polls in. And what you do is you ask questions of people that are part of the group. If you want your voice heard, come here. Go to the group and say, okay, each state statute, there's the way their system works is that you are governed by the consent of you govern by the consent of the governed. That rule is still in play. So what they do is that you just you object to state statutes that are in violation of whatever rights, or if it causes some kind of economic oppression. And people go, oh man, I don't want to do that research, right? Yeah, okay, so you don't want freedom. If you don't want freedom, don't join. Sit back and complain and you can live out your life doing nothing. Or you can go into the statutes that are oppressing people and help your neighbor just by putting, say 15 minutes a day in it, looking at state statutes. Assuming, that school has taught you how to read and comprehend what you're reading. Okay? Especially environmental statutes are horrible. If you go in the environmental statutes, there's certain things you can't do. You can't collect rainwater statutes very quickly. That will interfere, like if you can't collect rainwater, your intangible property right to nature to be able to survive. Okay? So these are things that they can't do. That's a human right. You have a right to water. Because if you go without water for, say, 3 to 5 days, very easily you could die. So that's how that works. So you get rid of that statute. So how do we do that? Everybody puts a poll up and says, do you want to get rid of something revised statute, blah, 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 state, right here, here's the number that people are forbidden from collecting rainwater. And everybody says, boom, 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 boom. Okay, we got 49% says no, 51% that says yes. Say, okay, we got majority. Now, I know it's mob rule if they want to do that, but that's just the way things work today. So you take whatever crap you get and you got to work with it. So that voting right there says whether it's an ordinance or a state statute. If it's a state statute, you go to the county commissioners. They meet usually every Tuesday, and the evening around usually is between 6 and 8. Now, what do? I've called them and asked them. They go around, and every time a statute comes up or whatever, they go around, and if there's new projects that need to be handled in the county, they shop bonds, insurance bonds, for companies to fund whatever needs to be done, which eventually goes under your tax bill and goes on the debt of the county. So if this state statute that you don't like, that you can't collect rainwater, is there, and it's causing economic oppression because it's showing that the water that you pay for, you can't even drink. It's got fluoride in it. And then they stop you. So you're paying for water you can't drink, and you can't collect water that you can drink. So that's the same as police officers coming up to a car and saying, put your hands on the wheel, roll your window down, put your hands on the wheel, roll your window down. Well, do I roll the window down or do I put my hands on the wheel? Which is it? So you want me to pay for water I can't drink, and I'm forbidden from collecting water that I can drink. So pretty bad. So you just get rid of that particular statute. What you do is you can go into it's a state statute. You can go in there and say, look, this is the National Assembly, American National Assembly. We have a group on Facebook where we poll people in this county, and they have voted to not allow that state statute to apply within this county. Now, since the people have spoken, you need to not fund that statute with any bonds whatsoever, because it's not going to be enforced here. And guess what? They can't enforce it anymore because they don't have your consent. And the majority of the people voted. You hand them the voting results. Here's the group. This is what happens. Now, if Facebook says, okay, you guys are really killing our communist regime here by actually being able to talk, and we can't get rid of your voice. Since we do that, we're going to go ahead and shut your group down. No problem. We can create a website that has that same type of ability. Okay? And we can use a group that says, look, we're not going to do any of that stuff here. we want you to join this website here so we can go through these polls and go through this stuff. And we see when we see these things going on in these counties, taking away your rights and all that because of whatever. Same thing with the city council. You are not going to pass this ordinance. You're not going to enforce it in this county against any of the people because the people have voted and the people have spoken. Then they may come back and says, well, we haven't had an official vote. Right now you have, because an assembly has actually witnessed the whole thing. You have had an official vote because the people have a right to assemble. Okay. And the people here have a right to vote. And if they want to collect rainwater, you're going to leave their property alone because guess what? City property. All right. People don't realize this. The city cannot regulate your property. The reason is because their name isn't on the deed. They only have the right to regulate city property where the city name is on the deed. People don't realize that, but that's true. So therefore, if they're regulating that, what does it do? It violates property rights. I have a right to do whatever the hell I want as long as I'm not hurting anybody on property that I paid for. I don't care if it's Federal Reserve notes. I don't care what it is. I paid for it. It's my labor. And according to the rules here, that property belongs to me. And I will pay the taxes on it to allow the city to take care of the public property, as long as your butts stay on the public property and get off of the private property. Regular ordinances like this, you have not proven that you're hurting, that people are hurting themselves by collecting rainwater. That's just a scenario. But you have to get the First American National Assembly, okay, the American National Assembly, to get going first on their part, and then reach out to people on a Facebook page, because everybody seems to be on Facebook, on a group to start this process. And that's all you have to do. They won't move. Okay, they can't move because the people have spoken. They're only doing this because they shut you up, and you don't have a say. They say, okay, you have 5 minutes. You know, this is the city council, right? People don't realize there's a county commissioner. There's county commissioners. There's 3 of them. All the counties have 3 of them, and they meet on Tuesday. Those are the people that run the dollars. They're the ones that enforce crap. City council doesn't do anything other than do what they want, to rip people off and put stuff in there that hurts them. And that's where they get their greed and all that kind of stuff. That's what you see online. And you see guys getting in there and, you know, doing the drop the mic thing, you know, telling them what's up. They do the whole drop the mic thing, and then nothing ever happens. They don't know why. They were in the wrong spot. Most cities are privately owned. Nobody knows that, but cities are privately owned. They will not let you buy a part of the city, nor will they allow you to become a part of the city charter. If you're a voter, you should have signed a city charter. Guess what? You didn't. And since you didn't, you're not a part of it, but you are a part of the county commissioners. Those guys, you are a part of that. That's a public forum. The cities are private. I know I've hit people with a lot today, and how to get this done, but that's just a plan on how to get it done, to get people where they can have a voice on things that allow them to survive. You can't keep doing that. You can't keep, you know, here's our water. Yeah, please pay us $100 a month for water you can't drink without getting hurt or some kind of medical issues. Please do that. You know, seriously, guys, it's messed up. So there you go. That should help. All right, this is not technical. It's as simple as that. There's no other issues that you need. The reign of the heavens, reign citizens there. We have a human rights tribunal. We got very good people that can write documents, things like that, that can get the point across. And you're not going to do this. Now, if you don't have anyone in there that wants to do anything in your county, then this works the same way. I've done this many times and have been very successful at it. Especially if they give me paperwork that they want to give notices of and stuff like that, and it makes things go away. That would be a private membership association. If you want that to, the private membership associations do basically the same thing, but on an individual basis. Okay. If you want one of those, I'd highly suggest that you stay away from a lot of gurus, because along with the organization in Texas, the Genoa Institute pioneered the family PMA, and it pioneered a commercial PMA that has the ability to even build a body politic for itself. It's the way I write them, because I've built countries before. So you go to genoainstitute.com, Genoa. Now, Genoa has nothing to do with Italy, nothing to do with France. That's not some low life freaking satanic group, okay, that it's part of. I just got the company from a guy who had one. He just had it, and that just happened to be the name of it. It was Genoa Holdings. It's LLC. That's it. I got it, and I turned it into a private membership association, and it became a institute for teaching how to do this. Okay, you take classes and all that kind of stuff, but only ones that do that. We'll teach you how to write minutes. We'll teach you how to write all kinds of things and how these things structure your life. genoainstitute.com. Go to shop here. All right. I just want to thank everybody for attending, coming on tonight, and we do appreciate you listening. I do not make any money I did not monetize anything on Rumble or on YouTube. I don't monetize things. So this is all done for free in my own time, every Sunday evening. So, and hopefully the information on there will help you out. Thanks for listening to the T Rose Show. We'll see you next week.